And finally, GB News is starting at the weekend. Its chair and one of the presenters is someone who might be familiar to a few of you. Hi, Andrew. Welcome back to Spectator TV. For those that don't know, could you tell them a bit about what you've been up to over the past few weeks?
Well, in addition to my responsibilities at The Spectator, I've been gearing up for the launch of GB News, Britain's new news channel, which we hope is going to launch, if all the machinery will work at the same time, at 8 o'clock on June the 13th, which is this coming Sunday from where we are now. It's a joy to be back on Spectator TV, and really annoying to see how well you've done since I stopped appearing on it.
Well, I can tell you that the viewers really have missed you, Andrew. We still get quite a few comments about it, so I'm glad we cleared that up. And now you can tell us what we should expect from GB News when it launches next week. Is it going to be obvious the ways that GB News is going to set itself apart from the other networks?
I think it will. I think people will maybe take a little bit of time to get used to what we're trying to be up to, what we want to be up to. But I think it will be different in two ways. One is it won't be rolling news. There's enough rolling news around at the moment. That's basically what Sky does and the BBC News Channel as well. And rolling news is repetitive. And because it repeats a lot, the ratings have never been high for rolling news. You get great ratings if there's a Gulf War or a pandemic breaking out. But then once that's over, the rolling news ratings of CNN and Sky and others have found out gone down. So we are not going to be that. We're going to be much more a series of programs starting at 6 in the morning till midnight, built round presenters with a bit of attitude and character, bees in their bonnet, and so on. So it's not so much news-led as presenter-led, with a wide variety of topics. It's what American news channels now do, from Fox on the right to MSNBC on the left. And here's the news: they do rate well. They do rate very well if you get it right. And the second thing is that I think, I take the view, it's not really controversial, but some people get annoyed. I think the existing incumbents, the people who provide news and broadcast news in Britain, Sky, BBC, Channel 4 News, ITV, they pretty much all come from the same stable of varying shades of centre-left attitudes. And in some ways, almost like a one-party state. Some are more left than others. Channel 4 News is more left than Sky. Sky these days, remarkably, I think is more left than the BBC. BBC is a bit more left than ITV, which is probably the closest to the centre. And that brings a set of attitudes, whether it's towards Brexit or to cancel culture, or even just an attitude towards Britain, which is pretty much of a muchness. And I think we want to come, without going anywhere in the direction of a Fox News or anything like that, from perhaps a different agenda, a different set of assumptions, and looking at the world in a different way outside that cozy kind of Tony Blairish consensus.
Well, social media is abuzz with the launch, and some people are already convinced that they know exactly what you're going to feature, the tone and the content of a platform that hasn't yet launched. It must be very interesting defending editorial decisions that haven't been made yet.
It's really interesting, Kate, to defend editorial positions that haven't been made, and I'm not quite sure what they'll be yet until we actually launch. Look, the buzz has been fantastic about it. I mean, the one, whether it's positive or negative, I mean, the one thing that, I launched Sky News as part of the overall Sky package way back in 1989. And I do remember then the attitude was a combination either hostility to the idea of a news channel, particularly one owned by Rupert Murdoch, or just indifference. What do we need a news channel for? That was actually true in America when Ted Turner launched CNN, and I was with him the week he launched CNN, and there was kind of indifference to that too. Well, we know what happened there. This is very different. There is a buzz, whether it's hostile or positive. There is quite a big buzz. There's an air of anticipation about it as well. And we have to capitalize on that. People are going to be interested, so we better give them what they're looking for and do it in a way that is going to make them stick. So people are, to a degree I did not foresee, Kate, people, whether it's to smackers or praisers, they are waiting to see the launch of this channel.
It's a competitive industry made more difficult for the newcomer by the fact that the biggest broadcaster doesn't have to compete. The BBC has laws that protect its income and a mandatory license fee if you own a television. Is the way that news has been done before, all these structures, these systems, is that really fit for purpose now, especially as we have many more platforms and people have so much more access to what they choose to watch?
Well, the BBC has its guaranteed income, which it tops up by over $1 billion with its overseas sales and commercial ventures. I think it has a total budget of about $5 billion. And even though its income is guaranteed, it does like to compete. That's sometimes what annoys ITV or Sky, that it does compete. I mean, you can really argue that Strictly Come Dancing was a pinnacle of public service broadcasting, but it's a hell of a ratings winner for the BBC, so they do like to compete. Look, I think the current license fee structure is obviously not fit for purpose in the decade that we've now entered, and there will have to be changes. What they'll be is not for me to get involved in. I've got enough on my hands just running You Lot at the Spectator. I mean, that's a full-time job. That's like herding cats on its own, never mind running GB News. But I would say two things. British broadcast news. That's the police coming for me, by the way. We probably haven't paid the rent of the new studios. British broadcast news is among the best in the world, and is highly regarded all over the world. Our British broadcasting, whether it's the BBC or Sky or ITN, one of the most famous names in it, or even Channel 4 and their documentaries, we are highly regarded as broadcasters, I would say, among the best in the world. So that's been a good thing. And, Sky News was a great addition. The BBC had to up its game. Sadly, ITV lost interest in news. That was a huge loss because when I was your age, Kate, ITN was a far bigger news name than the BBC. News at 10 on ITV with my old mentor, Alistair Burnett, that was the newscast that mattered. The first half-hour newscast, the first double-headed newscast, massive ratings, 12 million people in these days used to tune in. But things need to change. And I don't think we can remain top of our game without reforms, financing structures coming in and changing. And that's up to the BBC as to how it goes forward with charter renewal. Its biggest mistake would be to think you should just try to hold on to the license fee as is. There will have to be changes. That's for them. What I'm hoping to try and do is just bring a bit more variety, a bit wider discourse, a bit of a different agenda, or even when we cover the same agenda, to come at subjects differently. I'll just give you a general example. There was a discussion on the Today programme about a month ago on the BBC radio, and as you know, like the Second World War, Kate, the whole pandemic business has made big government fashionable again. And big government, the Second World War gave us the Attlee government, which certainly believed in big government, and Mr. Johnson seems to believe in big government too. So the Today programme had this clever idea of debating, is big government here to stay? Good subject. Except that all four people that were on that discussion believed in big government. Well, I think GB News managed to find at least somebody to say, yeah, hold on, the pandemic was the pandemic. We need to get back to a more Jeffersonian idea of more limited government again. It won't be easy, but that's what we try to do. It's just an example of it. You will know too, the existing broadcasters, if there's a problem that they identify in Britain, and boy, are they good at finding problems. Sometimes problems don't even exist, but they're good at finding them. They come from a point of view which has two suppositions in it. One is if it's a problem, it needs the government to resolve it. And secondly, if the government's to resolve it, it will need more money. So more government, more money. In some cases, that may well be the way to resolve it, but not in every case. And I think we'll come at things just that bit of a different way, which over time people will see is a different kind of discourse and dialogue to the existing incumbent news providers.
Will you still be making an occasional appearance on Spectator TV?
Yes, I will, but only if you ask me nicely. And next time, promise to provide the coffee. I mean...
We're delighted to hear it. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. It was great to be back, and you're doing a great job. Good luck with it.